Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know everybody is very busy. For taking time to spend an hour with us to go through training for this Conrad Challenge competition. It's such a cool opportunity for students and judges to be able to be a part of this, and we're very thankful for all the help that you've offered to give for these students and for this competition. It's very much appreciated. I am Dawn. I've corresponded with most of you regarding the judges, any issues you're having with the portal, or ranging times, information on what you guys need to do or what to expect. So I'm the voice to the emails that you've been getting back and forth with you. So thank you, everybody, for responding so quickly and getting the information back to me that I'm requesting from you. I really appreciate that. It makes my job a lot easier. So I'm going to turn this over. I don't have Elise or Carrie. Elise, she assists me with all of these different tasks that have to do with this competition from the judging standpoint and from the student standpoint. She's actually in another meeting right now. And Carrie, Carrie Taylor, she also assists us with back of the house stuff on this competition and is a very good resource, but she's unable to make it as well. I do have Mark and Elliot on the phone, and they're actually going to lead this training that we're doing, and they are a wealth of knowledge for this program that we'll be using to distribute portfolios to all the judges, and that you guys will be using to grade these portfolios and get the information back to us. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Elliot and let them take it from here. We do ask that everybody could put their phone on mute if you're able to do that. That way it cancels out any of the background noise. If you guys are typing or doing other work, I get it, trying to multitask, but if you could just put your phone on mute, that would be great.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Schroll. Thank you, Don, for the introduction. If one of the things I want to make sure, as I'm looking at everybody's name on the GoToMeeting list, if you were able to see the screen, the link should have given you access to allow us to share screens and walk through the demonstration. We will, if you are only able to call in, depending on where you're from, we'll try to be as descriptive as possible. But one of the resources that we're making for you as well is that we're recording this session, and we will upload that to YouTube and send that link to Dawn so she can share that with you among other resources. So if at any part of this it makes sense now, but an hour from now or so, or when you're in the middle of judging, you want to go back and review it, you can fast forward through it and jump right back to that spot. Or you can email Elliot or myself or Don with any questions, and we'll make sure that any questions you have about the portal or accessing the portfolios you have or the rubric, you get answers right away. So on the screen at the moment, you'll see I have a kind of an introductory PowerPoint that I want to share with you, and behind it is the innovation portal. Most of you on the call have been able to successfully create your own innovation portal account. It takes about 3 minutes, and you have to verify the account, and then have connected successfully as a judge. We connected the account that you're making to the respective Conrad competition you can see in the background back there, and then once we've got those kind of for visual empty buckets connected, the big bucket being the competition, and then your individual buckets all connected. The students this week will be, and many already have, and more will be flooding their portfolios into the larger bucket of the competition. And the way that we've built the system is that Don will be able to distribute portfolios to your buckets respectively. So if there's 50 different submissions, you won't see all 50. You'll just see the ones that will be assigned to you. And the purpose of this training is to show you is analogous to science fair competition, where we're sitting in the gymnasium with all the judges, and you're getting your clipboard, and we'll show you how to, and the rubric. We'll show you how to find the area where your portfolios are. We'll show you the system, and we'll talk about the rubric we'll be using, and most importantly, answer any questions about either one of those processes that you have. So first, the introduction PowerPoint. I'm going to share that with you. I'll jump it up into full size here so you can see it. Again, our emails, my email, my name is Mark Schroll, and my partner is Elliot Mork. We'll be taking any questions related to the portal. If you can't get connected, if you haven't connected yet, we will certainly help you with all that. All questions related to the competition itself, the culminating event, those kinds of things, you can send to Don, and we will get back to you if you have questions. This is kind of the structure for today. We have a line under, we have kind of 8 bullet points, but a line under the first 2. As I alluded to before, the first order of business is to get you your own account and get you connected to the innovation portal, and I'll walk or to the competition. And I'll walk through that process real quick, which should be review for many of you. And then we'll jump right into how the online system works, how to access the portfolios that are assigned to you when you logged into your innovation portal. They're not there yet, but they will show up, and I want to kind of show you what that looks like so you have that reference. We want to talk about the rubric that you'll be using that's embedded inside the portal. And a side note for that, the rubric, as you'll see in the demonstration, has been given to the students right up front. From day one, they have seen the same resource that you'll be using, which is exactly how a rubric should work. The students know what's expected of them, and they know that the judge will be using the same rubric to evaluate their work. So they know the goal, and they know what's being asked of them. So we'll show you that, how you access the rubric, how you access other scoring examples and things that judges would be resources for judges that we have for you. And then finally, how to use the system to, once you score a portfolio and you feel comfortable with your scores, how to submit them to Don, all from your desktop. A couple side notes, judging does not have to, we built this so that you could do this at your leisure. You'll see this, but I want to say it now so it's in the back of your brain as I walk through the demonstration. If you are in the middle of judging a given portfolio and you get a phone call and have to go pick up a family member, you can just log off your computer and stop. The process will be saved for you, and you can log back on from any computer anywhere and just pick up where you left off. So you don't have to judge an entire portfolio in a single setting. You can come back to it. There's different ways to judge that judges have told us have been comfortable to them, and I will allude to each of those and see if I can find a best fit for you. So here's the first part I mentioned before that many of you have already done. If you have not, this is what we need to do, is get your innovation portal account connected to the competition, the buckets, so to speak. So if you haven't already, please go to innovationportal.org either after this training, or if you can multitask at the moment, but you can create your own innovation portal account. And then when you do that, it'll enter an email, and then, like creating any account via the web, it will send you an email address to confirm that you're not a robot. When you push the link, you get to enter your password of your choosing, and then you've created an innovation portal account. When you've done that, please email Dawn if you haven't already and say, I was successful in creating an account, and here's the email that I used. So Dawn will have done that will take care of these 2 first steps. And then what Dawn will do with your email is she will turn around and use the system to invite your account, if you would, to connect to the competition.
Say it again.
I said, I'll give you the directions because some.
I apologize for that. It will connect to your invitation. It will connect your account right to the competition, and that's all there is to getting you connected. So the next step after that is, if you haven't done that, again, Elliot and I can certainly help you with those. But I created this kind of graphic for everybody to show you what's going on behind the scenes before jumping over to the innovation portal and showing you the interface. The competition administrator, the person in blue in the middle, that's Dawn, and the system, the automated system, is very much like an online science fair. We're just putting rather than having you come to a gymnasium and use clipboards and spreadsheets and things, we just kind of put it all online so that it all comes right to Dawn's computer. So off to the left are all the students who've been using the rubric and using the innovation portal, and they've created accounts just like you've done, and they are building those portfolios. They've registered for the Conrad competition for the respective competitions. The example here, health and nutrition, and they're just building. And they've got a few more days to put finishing touches on their portfolios. And when they do submit, they have from January 5th through January 19th to start submitting their portfolios. So this is what Dawn will see from her end. But in the process of those students working off to the left, the other thing Dawn has been doing is getting you all connected, and there you are off to the right, and the little trophy circles represent the buckets, if you would. So the system then, as the students are submitting portfolios, Dawn can see them starting to come in, and on midnight, January 19th, hopefully all the portfolios that need to be in will be in, and we'll make sure that they are. And once they're all in the competition, the larger bucket, if you would, Dawn will set an algorithm. We'll help her do that on the innovation portal that will say, I want all my judges are to grade, between 3 and 4 portfolios. So I want each portfolio graded 3 or 4 times, and for no judge to see that have to grade the same portfolio twice. And then the system will randomly assign you portfolios. So like in the depiction here, you won't see the entire body of portfolios. You'll just see the ones assigned to you, and it's analogous to handing you the clipboard with just the science fair projects that you need to go judge. Then you access those portfolios and again grade at your leisure. And when you're ready to submit the scores back to Dawn, all she'll see is that those portfolios are being judged by this particular judge and are in process. And then when you're ready to submit scores back to Dawn, she'll be your scores will be shown to her. And the important thing here is that you get to keep you can always access the work that you've scored. She'll just be able to see your scores for every part of the portfolio. So why is that important? Some judges have found that when they submit a score for one portfolio, they like to grade one portfolio, get it completely done, and then start working on a second or a third portfolio. But they found that sometimes something they did in the first portfolio will help them with the second or third. Well, that access won't be taken away from you. You can just jump back and look at what you did before, and I'll show you that as well. The next slide, I wanted to show you from a student's perspective. Again, what the students have been doing. The students are allowed in the innovation portal to create a portfolio, connect with their project partners, whether they're in the same class or across the country. Last year, the Conrads had students that one team that had won their category. 2 students were from Dubai, I think it was Dubai, and 2 were from Houston. And the first time they actually met was at the competition, but they had been using the innovation portal to collaborate and build and submit as a team. They can connect the portfolio with teachers, and the teachers can give feedback relative to the rubric. And I wanted you to know that as a judge, that's what's been going on. The teachers see the rubric the same way you will and can give feedback throughout the entire process. They can also connect the portfolio with their project mentors the same way they do the teachers. So very much an online process, and mentors and instructors can be from any location. So this is what's been going on in the classroom. And then when the portfolio is ready, if a student is interested in a competition like the Conrad competition, they can choose to enter it, and the system will make a complete copy of the portfolio. If the students have inserted a video link or uploaded files to support the writing on any particular page of the portfolio, all of that will be there and accessible to you. And they will submit that copy to the competition. And then you saw in the previous one that the portfolios can be distributed to judges. And then from a student perspective, students can create as many, or anybody with an innovation portal account can create as many portfolios as they choose to do for as many courses or for as many projects as they want. So I wanted to offer that background for you. This last slide before I pause, and I will, if you've kind of looked over at the attendance list over there, I muted everybody, and I just wanted to do that, but I'm going to unmute everybody to see if there's any questions. But this is the last slide in the introductory presentation. These are some extra resources that we've created that will be coming your way. The one to the far left is a step-by-step guide of just a pictorial kind of thing of how you log in and how you access the portfolios. It's about 3 steps, but we wanted you to have that step-by-step guide as a resource. The other 2 may come in very handy as a judge, depending on how you envision yourself judging this portfolio work. The reflective questions in the center and the complete rubric kind of go hand in hand. There's a rubric like you might imagine saying, this is the goal of this particular section of the design process. But the reflective questions, also something the students see right up front from day one, and we thought judges would like to have a copy of that, are kind of literally start with the idea of, did you offer the people reviewing this portfolio these items? So not a checklist, but very close, saying, did you offer research that is up to date, that isn't from 30 years ago, those kinds of things? Did you offer the judges these kinds of things? So some judges prefer to have a paper copy sitting on their desk, and then of the rubric and the reflective questions, and then just access the portfolio and view it on their computer screen, and that's an easier way to work. So we wanted you to have these physical files to print out if you wanted. These reflective questions and the rubric are also embedded in the scoring process. So if you prefer to do the entire thing from a computer screen, that's an option as well. So I wanted to share that with you. So as I back out of the kind of introductory PowerPoint here, I'm going to unmute. And if you have any questions at the moment, please unmute yourself and ask as I jump over to the innovation portal.
Have we added a capability for printing the portfolio so that we can read it offline?
We have not. The students have that functionality, but judges do not. So because...
Can I pay to have it done?
Yeah, I can help you with that. Let me. This is Mark. I'm sorry again. If you will write me directly when the portfolios are assigned to you, we can communicate, and I can create a PDF file of it that you can print out for you.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Sure. And then the other option you have too is that because this is an online system, if you are looking at it, the students are essentially creating a web page for each page of their virtual portfolio. So even though it doesn't always work out on a browser, you do have the option of hitting Control P or printing on your Mac, and it'll print out a web page. But I think what you asked for before would be much cleaner for me to just create one long PDF so that you can thumb through it that way. And anybody else that needs that particular service.
Last year I found it didn't scale really well.
Yeah, so we can right from the computer screen.
Yeah, when you tried to print their pages, it didn't print.
Okay.
It didn't scale the text properly or scale the images properly, and there was lots of stuff that overwritten. So if you could squirt out a PDF, I would love that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Our job is to make it easier for you. So that's an easy thing, an easy ask, and we'll certainly open that to everyone. Okay. Any other questions before I kind of jump into the demonstration of all of this?
Yes, this is Susie Beal.
Hi, Susie.
I have a question. On the scoring, as long as you have not submitted it yet to Dawn, can you go back and change any of your previous ones?
Susie, that is an excellent.
Any of the scoring.
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. You are a segue person today. You get an A for that. That's brilliant. Yes, one of the ways to judge that I referred to earlier is that some judges like to get one done and fully done and go on to the next one. Other judges like to kind of score a portfolio but not submit, just as you've described, and then go on to the second and the third, and then come back and go through the portfolios again until they're absolutely sure. And then when they're sure of all of the portfolios that they've been assigned to are just the way they want them, then go back and submit. So that's perfectly fine, Susie. Another variation on that theme, just because you were so wonderful to mention it, I've had judges go through and they just do the first page. There's several pages in a portfolio, but they do element A in this portfolio, then element A, then element A, then go back and do B, B, B all the way through. Every variation on that theme, the system will support that. So you are absolutely right there.
Okay, one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Last year, we could do more than the 3 to 4. Is
Yes.
the same true this year?
Yes. That's entirely up to you and Don. And I just mentioned 3 or 4 because, again, if you are a new judge to this system, and many of you are returning judges, by the way, thank you for both of those scenarios. You can be assigned. The system will randomly, we'll set the system so that it kind of divides everything up pretty evenly among the judges, whatever that number is. But you can be assigned more portfolios as well, and you can, because you're using the same rubric, you can volunteer to judge on entirely any one of the other 3 competitions of the 4 as well. So there is plenty of work for judges.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Of course. Okay. With that, please, if you do have questions, there's a couple ways. Please interrupt me, or if I happen to mute everybody, you can use the chat session and go to meeting, and you can put your questions down there, and Elliot and Don and I will be watching that as well. The most important point is to make you feel comfortable with the system. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you how what it looks like when you jump into the system. And I'm going to log out and walk through the entire process. I've set myself up as a judge. So when you come to the innovation portal and have been assigned portfolios and things, when you log in, and I'll do that here, I'm just going to log in. And when you click login, I wanted to show you on the screen, because there's no, on the innovation portal, you can play any role. You can be a judge, you can be a mentor, you can be a student. There's no specific accounts for everybody. So what happened here is I logged in, and if you look to the far left, I'll mouse over it a little bit, the innovation portal jumps right to, it assumes you want to make a portfolio. And so it jumps right to my portfolios. And I wanted to pause and make that distinction here. It's not where you want to go as a judge, unless you, of course, want to make a portfolio. So so that doesn't throw you off guard. When you log in, it just defaults to, hey, you wanted to create a portfolio. But as a judge, actually, we want to come down here to the little megaphone icon to opportunities. I'm going to click the word opportunities here. The reason the word competition wasn't put here, the word opportunities was chosen very carefully, is because there are people that are connecting with us in conversations, saying we have internships for students who have, for high school students and college students who've had some sort of research experience. We don't have a competition, but we do have a job. Can we create a competition-like thing so that students could submit as part of their application? So it doesn't really fall under the qualification of opportunities. We have other people that have looked at this and said we would like to, give feedback in a larger context. So that's why it's called opportunities instead of competitions. So when you click opportunities, it jumps down here, and I'm going to highlight the word current. These are the current opportunities for students to be able to participate in around the country. Why I wanted to pause here is that you'll notice there are some competitions that are directed directly at some states. There's an Illinois competition, a Minnesota competition, Wisconsin, a Kansas City area competition, and then right up on top are the Conrad competitions. There will be students who will from Illinois who will enter both competitions, both their state competition and the international Conrad competition, with the same team portfolio. But why I wanted to draw your attention to the word current is that current in this context means that students are able to submit work to this in 2 days, in 3 days at midnight after the 15th. All 4 of the Conrad competitions will not appear here. They will appear in past competitions. So I'm going to click past, and that the 4 competitions will appear here, and this is where you are to find them. For today's demonstration, Longdon has the wrong person here, I apologize. For today's demonstration, I set up a test competition to show you what that all looks like. Now, I'm taking far longer to just explain each step to you to get there, but log in, connecting to opportunities, and then going to past opportunities, because by that time the Conrads will appear here, all of the competitions for the semifinal round. And then you simply click on the competition for which you asked to be a judge: health and nutrition, cyber technology, and so on. For today's demonstration, I've set us up as a training example right here. So if this were you judging one of the health competition, you just simply click on that title. And because you're connected as a judge, you will see this menu bar where it says View, and down here will be the description of the competition. But because you're a judge, you will be given this review link. So I'm going to click Review link. I'm you as a judge, and this is how I access my portfolios. And you can see here that I've assigned myself 11 portfolios. That's a lot. If you were assigned 4 portfolios, it will say, this is some feedback for you that said that I've completed grading 0 out of 11 of these portfolios. This is just a piece of feedback. Underneath my name is the list of portfolios that I've been assigned to. So we're gonna click on this one called the Lawnmower Kickstarter, and we're gonna take a look at it. Another piece of feedback is you can see that this word active appears. It means it's an active review. And Susie, this is one piece of feedback relative to your comment. It says that it hasn't been submitted to Don yet. It's just one more piece of feedback. So I'm going to click on Lawnmower Kickstarter, and it's going to take me right into the student's portfolio, whatever they submitted. If you would, draw your attention over to the right-hand side of the screen. See if I can zoom in just a little bit, make it a little bit larger. And you'll see, if you'll envision a 3-ring binder that has just been laid on your desk with little tabs that stick out the side, that was the model we were given to build this around. And you'll see the word Complete Review up here. I'm going to come back to this. And again, Susie, I'm going to pick on you if you don't mind. This is where you begin to go submit something. We'll come back here in a minute. But over on the right-hand side, I want to show you all the little tabs. Now, the portfolio is closed at the moment. There's a cover page, and typically there's nothing to grade on the cover page, but you can certainly access the information. Typically, students will put pictures of them, maybe some background of why they chose the particular problem that they've chosen, and some pictures of their project or the school they're from. Where you get to start grading, and for this competition, is over on the side. For the semifinal round, the rubric researchers that I'll refer to as we go here have put the design process into steps A through N. They call them elements A through N. You'll only be grading A through I for the semifinal round. The students have to, though they may submit, A through F, though they may submit things in G and H and I all the way down, for the semifinal round, your responsibility is only A through F. Let's go to A, and I'm going to show you some of the resources that are available. As I mentioned before, the students have had. We're looking at it just as a student would have looked at it and submitted things. So I'm going to click on element A. And element A, as I click on it, you can see the tab stays blue over here, so you know you're on that. It also writes the title of the particular rubric or the element we're looking at. And this is where students were supposed to put the presentation and justification of their problem. To access the rubric, there's the scoring rubric. There's a couple of ways. One, you can print out the file we sent you, as we mentioned before, or it's right here online. A couple of things. So to access the text of the rubric, if you would, you can see down here that it's very AP-like. It defaulted to the highest score of 5. This isn't how you score. This is just, what do I have to do to get a 5 if I'm a student? And here's the language of the rubric. The problem is clearly and objectively identified and defined. You could generate measurable design requirements from it, those kinds of things all the way down. So here's for a 5, and as you think of a staircase, if you would, the rubric specialist who built this said, a good rubric works like a staircase. The difference between a 5 and a 4 is the same difference between a 3, a 2, and a 1. So as you come down, the wording becomes less and less refined, talking about things that are missing, and you can score a 0. If students put absolutely nothing on a page, you are asked to give them a score of 0. And as they start to populate that towards a 5, the score will go up. Another resource for you that we will send you in print, and it's also here, is the reflective questions I mentioned. These are also helpful to you, and do remember that the students have had these in front of them since they've started this project. This is just derived from the rubric statement below, and it says, did you offer the reviewers, the judges of this portfolio, these items? So if you have, and if the students have kind of met these criteria, they're getting closer and closer to a 5. So it's just how refined did they get. So this is one resource for you to come and say, as I start looking at what the students have submitted for me, have they done these kinds of things, and how well, and I can go back and forth and look. One more resource for you I wanted to share with you is, if you have been a judge before, one more resource is, what does a 3 look like? You don't have to use this, but I do want to let you know that this has been in front of the students as well. The rubric was developed over the course of 4 years with dozens of universities as part of an NSF study. And during that process, we have pulled Innovation Portal portfolios from the Innovation Portal. They've been put in front of hundreds of engineering education professionals and design and problem-solving professionals, and they've used the rubric to score things. And when dozens of them agree that this is what a 3 looks like exactly, and we've never met each other and things like that, we have taken those examples and put them back on the Innovation Portal as a teaching tool for teachers to say, this is what a 3 looks like, as a student to say, oh, that's what a 3 looks like, and I can extrapolate that into my project and shoot for a 4 and things like that. But it's also very valuable for judges, and I wanted to share that with you. If you wanted to see what a 3 looks like, we can come down here, and I will click on this scored example down in the bottom. And I'm going to draw, before I click, I'm going to draw your attention to the top of the screen. I want to show you that it doesn't take you away from the student work. It will just open a new tab in your browser. So it's downloading that file for you to review, but I'm going to click the tab again to say it hasn't taken me away from the student's work. It's just I want to see what a 3 looks like. In all of these examples, there is a summary statement derived from the comments of all the people who reviewed it, saying this is what generally the comments were about why this is a 3 and not a 4, what they could have done to make it a 4, that kind of thing. It offers you where that fits in the course of the elements of the portal. Again, you're going to be grading A through F. Then it shows, highlights virtually the entire rubric for each of the things, but most importantly at the bottom, it gets down to the student work. And I wanted to share this with you, that these resources are available for you as a judge to jump over and take a look at if you're kind of wavering between a 3 or 4, or I want to see just an example from a previous year or previous portfolio. In this case, to give it context, this particular project was about LED traffic lights, if I'm showing my age here, but as you go up to traffic lights, at one time they were incandescent bulbs, and they would burn out, and trucks would have to drive out there and lift a workman up, and they would change the bulbs. And now they're LEDs, the little dots that you see, and that is supposed to save municipalities money because they last so long that you don't have to replace the bulbs and send crews out there. It turns out that there's a great deal of research, and this is some of what these students have offered. LEDs are actually costing, in northern climates, municipalities more money than they're saving them, because the research comes back, and the incandescent bulbs, that the waste heat that they were generating was actually enough to keep the lens warm enough so that if it snowed or it was creating some inclement weather, it wouldn't accumulate on the lens. Since the LEDs produce almost no heat, it starts to accumulate and it obscures the lights. So these students have found all this research about accidents that have happened because people couldn't see the lights. And here's some examples of the articles that they submit. So this is indicative of what you'll all see and why I'm pausing to take time to show you. Students will submit articles, and this is what they learned in the article. They'll usually submit the entire article for you if you want to go look at it, from this case, the Chicago Tribune. And you can click on the link and go see it. So they had accident reports and things. This particular group interviewed some transportation engineers. Here's one from Canada that said, we're definitely concerned anytime a driver is unable to see the traffic signal, it's a problem. And they tried 2 different products and nothing happened. And so they spend a lot of time. They actually send people out to traffic intersections and scrape off the lenses because the heat is no longer doing it. So I think if you can solve this one, there's a house in Malibu for you. And then I'll roll down this last article because it just gives a nice picture of the issue. So these students, their job was to to present and articulate the problem well, as the element suggested, and then to offer justification that something needed to be done. And this is what a 3 looks like to dozens of people who reviewed this before. In class, teachers will use that and say, well, if you were on this team, what could we have added relative to this rubric to shoot for a 4 or a 5? So I wanted to offer you as judges all 3 of these resources that are right at your fingertips as they are for the students. When you click these numbers here, this is not how you actually grade. It just accesses that particular text for that score. So what we've done so far is shown you how to access a given portfolio that was sent to you, how to access some of the grading resources online. But you've also heard me mention that you can print out the ones and have the version of the rubric and also the reflective question sitting in front of you if you'd like. But now I'd like to show you how to access the scoring sheet. So we're on element A. We've looked at the rubric and the reflective questions, and we know what we're looking for. How do I add a score? If you'll draw your attention down to the lower right-hand corner, because we're a judge, because we've been asked to judge this particular portfolio, you'll see a little icon of a pen quill. I'm going to click it, and it will open up the scoring sheet. You'll see a bunch of letters on there that I was testing this out before, but it will open up the scoring sheet in front of you, and I have a wheel mouse on this end. I'm just going to roll it up and down. This was an exercise in screen real estate, but as you can leave the scoring sheet on top of the other one and roll past that, or you can minimize it just by clicking the down arrow, read the student's work, look at it, and when you're ready to score, this is where you enter scores and comments. It's not required that you enter a comment, but if you'd like to enter a comment saying, this is why, I thought it was a 2, could have been a 3, I didn't see these things. I'm just going to type some gibberish here as I did before, because I want to show you where that shows up a little bit later, so you can review your work before you submit it. Again, Susie, thank you. I told you were Segway woman today. This is where you can type your comments, and this is where you actually choose a score. The scores will all default to a question mark, meaning no score. So if the students on the screen at the moment presented nothing at all, or I thought what they presented was missing so much, I do want to score that as 0. So that is one of the you want to make sure that you do offer a score of between 0 and 5 for each of the elements A through F. So as I look at want to pick a score for this, let's say I think it might be a 2. As a judge, I have one more way to access the rubric, and I'm going to click this little plus sign near the 2, and it brings up this floating rubric again, that I can take a look at the wording of the rubric and go back and forth like an eye doctor saying, I think everything they've done here, they've done a 2 and then some of 3. And this is a point for me to tell you as you read the rubric, this is a best fit. So if the students definitely have a 2 and you think there's enough in there for a 3, maybe not everything for a 3, then it's a 3. If it's barely into 3 and you think it's a 2, then it's a 2. And you go back and forth and zero in on the best fit that you believe that the students have managed. So we'll give the students a 3. And so I think it's a 3. So I'll come down here and choose a 3. I've added my gibberish as comments. And if you'll notice, there's no save button. The system has been saving every few microseconds. So again, if I got called away to have to go pick up my daughter from school, I can shut down my computer, access it on a different computer, and pick right up where I left off. So I've taken a great deal of time to walk through element A, but let me show you element B, and we'll grade a couple of these. Same thing, you can see the student's work, scroll down. You can access all of the things around documentation and analysis. What have other people tried to do to solve this problem, and why weren't they able to solve it? Again, the scored examples for a B, if you would like to access those. Lots of information for you. You don't have to use all of it. But if you're ready to score B, it's the same thing. You click on the little icon at the bottom. Let's say we've looked through this. I will add the letter E just over and over again for a comment. And let's say this group scored a 4 for this one, and we're fine with that. Finally, I'm going to add just to quickly add a score of a 1, if you would, to letter C and or element C. And the reason I'm doing all that, again, you are not responsible for the entire project because they're about halfway through it, but just elements A through F. I want to jump to letter G. If you accidentally jump to G, I want you to know that students will be working ahead. And if there is something there, you're more than welcome to look at it. But you'll notice in the lower right-hand corner, there's no way to submit a grade for it yet because, again, the semifinals were just A through F. So we've accessed the portfolio, we've accessed the resources online, we've added some scores. How do I, Susie, I'll borrow you again, how do I now, if I feel pretty comfortable, how do I check to see, how do I submit scores? When you click the complete review at the top, it doesn't, much like buying something online, it will give you a review page. I'm going to do that. If you accidentally click this, it's not a problem. But it's kind of like reviewing your order. We haven't submitted anything yet, but you can see the gibberish that I typed, and there's my comment for this team. There's my score of 3, my comments for element B, score 4, 1. You can see here, again, feedback that I haven't graded D. So at this point, I want to hit the back button and go grade element D and F because I didn't do my job there. But it gives you kind of some feedback, a summary of this team. And in the context of what Susie asked before, at this point, Susie, if this was you judging or any of you, you can just go to another portfolio. You can go back to opportunities, jump back in and choose a different portfolio and not submit the scores. And do that for each of your portfolios. When you're ready to submit a portfolio, as you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see this sentence. All this sentence down here is telling you, it wants you to click this radio button, but it's just telling you that as soon as you hit complete review, you'll be able to access all the scores and comments and the work of the students, but you will no longer be able to edit them. There's no way to pull it back. It will be sent to Don, Elise, and Carrie, and it will be pulled into the system and averaged with all the other scores and for that team. So when you are ready to submit, you come down to the bottom, read that, understand that that's going to happen, and when I hit complete review, which I'll do here, it will send the scores. It will send the scores to the competition, and then I want to show you what that looks like from Don's perspective, and then I'll pause again and see if anybody has any questions about that. But inside our training example competition over here, from perspective of a judge, one of the things I want to draw back to, we just did the Lawnmower Kickstarter project, and you can see now that the word active has been changed to complete. And another parallel piece of data is that I've now completed one of my 11 assignments. So when this is a full fraction, if you would, if you were assigned 3 and 3 and 3, this is just one way for you to check, have I done everything? You can check them individually. Again, we can go back inside the Lawnmower Kickstarter group and we can review what we did before. And there's all of our comments again, but you'll notice there's no way to submit it again or to change the comments. If I want to see the students' work, I can do that and go back and forth. So that's how you access portfolios, access the rubric and all of the resources online, access the scoring sheet, and then at the end, complete a review and submit it to Don. We tried to make it all online, like I said, so you can grade it at your leisure. And I'll pause for a moment and see if there's something that was you'd like me to review, or if I've generated more questions than I've answered, or anything like that. So please unmute yourself and ask questions if you have them.
Mark, is there any way to limit the number of reviews we have to do?
Yes, excellent question. That's from Don's perspective. Don, do you have a rough idea of how many? There's a couple ways to do that. I will share that with you. Typically, it's 3 or 4 portfolios per judge over the course of a couple of weeks. However, we have the ability to manually go in and reassign a portfolio from one judge to another judge if that need be. So if you were assigned 5 and said, I just can't do that, we can find 2 other judges that say, no, please, I would like to grade a couple more. We can take 2 off your plate and assign them to somebody else if the case comes up like that.
Yeah, we can work with judges. I know everybody's got a job that they're trying to do, your normal job. So I definitely don't want to burden you with more than what you think you can actually take on. So we can work with you on that. Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
A thought, that was an excellent question and a piece of data or feedback. As you saw earlier, there's many different competitions on the Innovation Portal. The Conrads for the semifinal round are only using a portion of a full portfolio, as on the screen, letters A through N. I can't offer this piece of data. As a judge, I would want to know this. Can you give me an idea of how long it takes to grade a full portfolio? So if you can imagine something in each of those tabs. Typically, we found from judges when we've asked that question before, they said, like anything else, the first one was the longest because I was getting used to the system. But the first one took between 50 minutes and an hour. After that, it was for a full portfolio, all the way from A to N. It took, anywhere from, about 40 minutes for me to really go back and forth and feel comfortable. Once I knew the rubric, it was like grading assignments. I knew what I was looking for. I knew what the students were after. I understood that the rubric was about the design process, so I'm not checking their math. I'm just looking to see if they have submitted these pieces of data to look at. So it got quicker by the time they got through the third or fourth. And that's for a full portfolio, about 50 minutes. So I'm just going to, I don't know if it's a linear equation or not, but A through F should take you less than that. I hope that gave you some perspective.
That was great. The only reason I ask is I've done this before, and I agree with your timing estimates. The only reason I ask is that I tried to bring other judges into the fold, and they asked me what the minimum or maximum were, and I wanted to be able to make sure that my answer, which was consistent with yours, was indeed correct. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, and thank you for the great. It was nice to have that feedback that you found that to be the right timing as well. So thank you. Other questions about the process, because this whole we tried to make this as intuitive as possible. It's a whole lot to like a whole science fair competition online, but for judges coming to this, we wanted to make it as intuitive and straightforward as possible. That's why the resources, that's why we're recording this today, and that's why we took the time to step through it. And just want to make sure that you're comfortable, because I know it's one thing to watch it and another to be involved in it. If you do have questions, I will offer this again. I'll put them on the screen. There's my email and Elliot's email. Either one of us can help you answer questions about the innovation portal, about the rubric, about the process. We will be monitoring all this as you go forward. And again, we'll be sending you those resources and this recorded session. So if you do have questions, please ask them as we go. But Don, in respect of everybody's time, I just wanted to turn it back over to you. If there was any advice for you had for your judges, if you had a due date of when you'd like to have the feedback back in, any of those pieces of data.
Sometime this week that'd be great while we're doing this training. That would be awesome. But I don't have anything else to add to what Mark said. Mark is the expert, so when you guys are emailing me with questions about the portal, I have very limited knowledge on that, so I answer what I can, and then when I can't answer it, I send him your email, and then generally he responds to it. Absolutely. So he's a wealth of information. I can't stress that enough.
Very, very sweet. Don, looking forward, so the students have till midnight on the 15th to submit portfolios. And what Don and Elliot and her team and I will do is, if there's any stragglers, if there's issues with the technology stuff, we'll make sure that all the portfolios that need to be in are going to be in. But Don, looking forward, do you have a due date for the end of the judging window after the 15th? So they can't start judging until the 16th. I didn't know when the outlook forward, if I was one of your judges, when you'd like my homework due by, I guess.
Right, and I don't have that handy. I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
The students are due to turn theirs in by the 19th, as 19th. Mark said, and then they are asked to turn in their second phase of their portfolio by the 22nd of February. So I would say 19th is next Tuesday. Yeah, that's right. That's when they're due. Right. I apologize. I kept saying the 15th. I apologize. I misspoke. It is the 19th for the students. Yeah, it's the 19th. So I would think that we would probably by probably 2 weeks. hopefully that would give everybody enough time to have it done by, by the end of January, very beginning of February.
Perfect. Okay. So as judges, as you look at this system, if you again the visualization of the buckets, Don and Elliot and I we won't even be distributing portfolios. So you can click on reviews, as we've done here. It'll just say you don't have any portfolios to review. So there won't be any portfolios to review until at least the 20th. And Don, do you want to send out a mass email when we do that? That portfolios are in, and yeah, we can do that just as a reminder.
I will. Perfect. And just FYI for all the judges, I will be out of the office the 22nd through the 25th, so that Friday and Monday. So you may get responses from Elise, but she is here in the office. She can help as well. So you may not get responses as quick during those 2 days.
All right. If there are any last-minute questions, please throw them out there, and then we just want to be respectful of your time.
We have a question in the chat window.
Please.
Can we look at other? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I would like to know if I can just have a look at the other portfolios that are assigned to other judges, not for scoring, but just to look at what they have done.
That's an excellent question. The answer is no and yes. How's that? Let me explain the no. The system itself, relative to the competition, as you saw I'll put it on the screen, as you saw in this depiction, you'll, as a judge in this competition, you'll only be able to see during the judging session. You'll only be able to see the portfolios assigned to you. You won't be able to see what the other judges are doing in this competition. The yes, I will make it a smaller yes, is that those scored examples that I referred to before, they have all gone through this process. So even though they aren't in this competition, you will be able to see how other people have a full range of scores. If you want to see what a 3 looks like or a 2 looks like, you'll be able to access those scored examples. It's just essentially from a different process or a different competition, but the result would be the same. So
my question was after the scoring is done, I would like to know if I can have a look at the other portfolios just to see the students' work, not about the scoring.
Oh, okay, that's excellent. Thank you. Yes, Don, that's something it's really your decision, but after all the scores are in for the semifinal round, what we can go and do is as many of the winners from top to bottom as you'd like, we can go back and then assign them to everybody. And we have done this in the past, assign the top placers, top 8 portfolios to all of the other judges so that they can see the work. If you'd like to do that, that would be one way. So you can, and they'll already be judged, but you can see the winners. So that is a very good observation. One of the great things about putting this online is that you can judge from anywhere. One of the probably disadvantages of it, as opposed to walking into a gymnasium full of projects, is that it doesn't give you the opportunity to walk around and see what the rest of the work or the rest of the field looks like. So there's a great comment. And excuse me. And Don, if you'd like to do that, we can.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent comment.
This is Susie Beal. I have another question.
Of course.
I know the scoring rubric is online. Did I understand correctly that you're going to send us a printout, or do we have to download it?
No, we are going to send you an email that will include, let me see on the screen, I'm sorry, that will include those resources and also the recording that we're making, a link to the recording we're making at the moment. So,
all right, thank you.
Absolutely, Susie. All right. If you have other questions, please feel free to email any of us, and we'll make sure you get the answers and the resources that you need. But with all of this in mind, thank you for attending the judges training. I hope it was insightful and straightforward.
Oh yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day.